So it was such a pleasure to share the court with him. He gave me some tips on my forehand and a few other small advice. This is the first time I've ever hit with him in my life, and it's just a memory that will last forever.
This is not a warm-up. This is not a casual pre-tournament hitting session between two players who happen to share the same practice slot on the same morning. What you are watching right now is a message. A deliberate, carefully chosen, unmistakably clear message from Eala, world number 29, defending quarterfinalist, the most important name in women's tennis right now, directed at exactly one person, Siegmund. The veteran German who is waiting on the other side of Eala's bracket at the 2026 Miami Open. The player who has built an entire career around making opponents uncomfortable, around slowing the game down until the match feels less like tennis and more like a psychological examination designed to break whoever is standing on the other side of the net. Eala has watched what Siegmund does. She has seen what that playbook costs players who are not prepared for it. And she is not about to let it happen to her. Not here. Not at this tournament. Not with everything she has on the line. So instead of softening her preparation the week of a major event, instead of playing it safe and comfortable and careful the way most players do, she walked onto the practice court with one of the most aggressive, explosive, relentlessly attacking players in the ATP and said, "Hit me with everything you have." Because whatever Siegmund brings into that match, I have already seen worse. That is what this training session is. That is the message. And it just got personal. Eala is walking into. And here is why it matters more than a scoreboard or the rankings or the draw bracket or anything else being written about this matchup this week. Siegmund is not just a tennis player. She is an experience. She is 37 years old, and she has spent the last decade on the WTA Tour perfecting a version of tennis that does not just try to beat you with shots, it tries to beat you with time, with patience, with the psychological friction of a match that never moves at the pace you want it to move. She is self-admittedly slow. She has said it out loud on the record, in front of cameras. There is no doubt that I am slow. She gets time violations for it. She acknowledges them. She keeps doing it, not because she is trying to be disrespectful, she says, but because it is genuinely how she plays, how she thinks, how she processes competition. And the result for whoever is standing across the net from her is the same regardless of her intent. Coco Gauff, the world number 6 at the time, playing on Arthur Ashe Stadium in front of a packed night crowd at her home Grand Slam, found herself walking to the umpire's chair mid-match to complain that Siegmund had gone over the serve clock 4 times. 4 times. In one match. Against one of the fastest, most instinct-driven players in women's tennis. The crowd started calling out time every time Siegmund stepped to the line. Gauff won the match, but she left the court visibly rattled, visibly angry, and visibly drained by an opponent who had turned a tennis match into a battle of endurance before the first game was even fully decided. Gauff later said on court, in 2 simple words, exactly what the whole experience felt like. She called it slow. That is what is waiting for Eala. And Eala has already decided she is not Coco Gauff.
It's the first time I'm crying in a press conference. As a tennis player, you are a performer. You owe the people. You owe the kids that watch. And I'm just a bit, at the end of the day, I go home and I can look at myself and I can say, I did a great job. But did I get anything from the people for that? Even less than a 0 because they treated me bad. Like, they treated me like I was a cheater, like I was like trying, sneaky ways to win this match or something. They treated me like I was a bad person. But there are people who are throwing rackets, who are screaming, who are like making bad gestures toward the audience. I did not one moment in the whole match, and there was a lot of tension going on. Not one moment I did anything.
It was not a one-time thing at the US Open. It was not a story about one bad day with one opponent in one stadium. This is the consistent pattern. At Wimbledon last year, Siegmund pushed Aryna Sabalenka, the world number one, a player who has won multiple Grand Slams and has seen everything this sport can throw at her, to the absolute edge across 3 sets. She received a time violation during the match. She left the court for approximately 10 minutes after losing the second set. And there was a specific moment, caught on camera, replayed across tennis social media, and pointed out by multiple commentators, where at a Grand Slam quarterfinal, on center court at Wimbledon, the tactics do not change based on who is standing across the net from her. They do not soften because the opponent is ranked higher or more experienced or more celebrated. If anything, Siegmund runs her playbook hardest when the stakes are biggest. And Eala, the 20-year-old who is the hottest story in women's tennis right now, walks into that match as exactly the kind of player Siegmund's game was built to frustrate.
Alexandra Eala is doing it again. Having already beaten 2 Grand Slam champions, she's a set away from adding a third. And a set away from the semi-finals here at the Miami Open. Takes the opening set in fabulous fashion.
And here is why Miami specifically makes this matchup personal for Eala in a way that no other tournament can. Last year at this exact event, she did something that nobody, not the tennis press, not the bookmakers, not even the most optimistic Filipino tennis fans, had seriously scripted ahead of time. She walked in ranked number 140 in the world. A wild card. No seeding. No direct entry. And she dismantled the draw from inside out until she was standing in the quarterfinals across the net from Iga Swiatek, the 5-time Grand Slam champion, the most dominant player women's tennis had seen in a generation, and beat her 6-2, 7-5. Not in a grind. Not in a 3-set survival story. She dominated. She converted 8 of 10 break points. She won 77 points to Swiatek's 59.
Alexandra Eala's dream run continues. She completes a hat-trick of wins over Grand Slam champions. And this, the best.
She gave Swiatek 32 more unforced errors than herself. She played with the composure of a 20-year-old who had forgotten she was supposed to be nervous. And when it was over, when the most powerful player in the sport had walked off that court with nothing to show for it, the whole tennis world looked up from whatever it had been doing and said the same thing at the same time. Who is Alex Eala? This tournament is where that story was written. This is her court, her moment, her stage, and the person standing between her and the chance to defend that legacy, to prove that 2025 was a statement and not a coincidence, is a 37-year-old veteran who is going to walk out there and immediately try to smother everything that makes Eala dangerous before she can even get started.
Eala hit a new career best at number 29 on Monday. Eala leaped 3 places from her 32nd rank 2 weeks ago. Eala reached the round of 16 of the BNP Paribas Open, ranking up 120 points to bump her total to 1,542.
She arrives at Miami ranked world number 29, a career best, the highest any Filipino tennis player, male or female, has ever climbed in the professional game. And she holds that number because of what she did at this tournament 12 months ago. 390 ranking points were earned here. That is the exact amount she must defend, or the number starts dropping, and the story starts shifting from rising force to one-year wonder. The pressure of defending points is one of the most reliable disruptors in professional tennis. It turns a player's biggest strength into a source of anxiety, because now every match carries the weight of everything that was built before it. Walk into a match already tight, already anxious, already thinking about the ranking implications before the first point, and then add an opponent who is going to slow the whole thing down and make every single game feel twice as long as it should. That is the trap. And Eala knows it is coming, which is exactly why she went to find Joao Fonseca.
What a finish!
Joao Fonseca is 20 years old. He is ranked inside the ATP top 25. He hits with a weight and a pace that most players, men or women, never face in a regular practice session because most training partners simply cannot generate that kind of ball consistently. His forehand arrives flat, heavy, and fast. His intentions on every single point are aggressive. He does not sit back. He does not build patiently and wait for the error. He shortens the backswing, steps into the court, and hits through the ball with the kind of force that makes you an opponent whose entire plan is to make the match feel slow and suffocating and mentally grinding. Is to walk onto that court with your instincts running so hot, so sharp, so loaded with high-speed decision, making that slow does not register as a threat. That it registers as time. Extra time to do exactly what Eala does best. And that is the edge the Fonseca session is building. One rally at a time, one exchange at a time, one preparation decision that is not subtle at all. It is a direct, personal response to everything Siegmund is planning to do. Here is what actually happens inside a player's body when they train at that pace consistently in the days before a match. The nervous system calibrates to it. The reads get faster because the incoming ball demands faster reads. The footwork tightens because the time between bounce and contact is shorter and every hesitation gets punished. By the time that training session ends, by the time Eala steps off that practice court and into the hotel and into match day preparations, her baseline state is running at a completely different frequency than a player who spent the week doing comfortable back-and-forth rallies at a speed nobody would ever find threatening. And then Siegmund steps across the net from her, and the deliberate pre-serve pause begins. Because Eala's instincts are not running at normal match speed. They are running at Fonseca speed. And Siegmund's slow is not a disruption at that level. It is a gift. This is personal. And Eala made sure she was ready for the personal part before the personal part even began.
I have a lot to say. I want to say thank you to all the incredible women who have paved the way and who have advocated for themselves and for other women. Among them is Coco. So thank you, Coco, for being an amazing competitor and amazing role model. And I really hope that everything is well and you will recover soon. I also want to say Happy Women's Day to my mom, who is there in the stands.
And here is the part that completes the picture. Alex Eala is not loud about this. She is not calling out Siegmund in press conferences. She is not posting anything on social media about the tactics or the time violations or the psychological warfare that the tennis world has been documenting for years. She is 20 years old, and she carries herself with a composure that most players twice her age have not yet found. But the training session speaks louder than any press conference ever could. Because when you see what she is doing on that practice court, when you watch her step into full-pace exchanges with one of the ATP's most explosive young players 3 days before a match where the draw lands her directly across from a veteran who is going to try to slow everything to a crawl, you understand that Goff learned it live on Arthur Ashe. Sabalenka had to manage it in a Grand Slam quarterfinal at Wimbledon. Alex Eala is studying it from the outside and answering it before it can even begin.